Welcome to Chrisley Confessions 2.0. How are you today, Julie?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
It's been a crazy week.
It's been a crazy week. Yesterday was particularly crazy.
Yeah. But before we get into that, I feel like there's so much more to talk about.
Such as?
Well, hasn't there been lots of stuff on social media? I feel like you've been coming to me all week saying, oh my gosh, look at this crazy stuff on social media.
Well, listen, there's stupid shit on social media every day, and there's stupid garbage in the press every day. And so I think that what we're going to start doing is we're going to start like giving 5 minutes to all the craziness that goes on out there. All of these
5 minutes, there's a lot of crazy.
But we're not giving all the episode to all the lies that are being told. But like, you know, you have they write these headlines, or they take one little small thing. Like I just saw one yesterday where one of the tabloids says that the new show that, you know, Savannah's breaking down and that it was the toughest time of her life and you're going to get to see that and whatever. I don't even know about that. So they're telling me something that I don't even know about.
Right.
And
yeah, I mean, and I'm sure it was one of the most difficult times of her life.
Right.
I am absolutely sure.
But I can assure you she's not laying down on the floor flailing and her life is falling apart.
Well, breaking down to one is maybe not breaking down to someone else.
All these weak ass people. If I'm not breaking down and falling apart in front of you, or the rest of the world either. I'm gonna do my meltdown in the shower. Or maybe
okay, but that's you. That's where you get like, I don't want to say sideways, but you think just because you can go to the shower and have a meltdown, not everyone's capable of doing that. So first of all, I don't even know why we're talking about that, because we don't even know if that's true or if it's not true.
Well, that's the whole point that I'm making is that we don't even know if it's true.
Right.
But I'm saying that even if it was, my daughter's not going to be wallowing around in self-pity. That's not who she is.
No, she's not at all.
So that's not going to happen.
No.
You know, I mean, how many more times are people going to write, he's gay. He's gay.
Yeah, they need to come up with something new.
I mean, this has been
that's old news.
And it's been since 2013.
Yeah.
And I guess that they say it thinking that that's going to shame me or it's going to shame you or whatever.
Right.
And it's 2025. I mean, even on the left side of the arena, by doing it to shame someone, isn't that contradictory of what your whole argument is about live and let live, be who you are?
Right. And at the end of the day, listen, we're adults. And you know what? If that's something that you had chose to do, that's something you had chose to do.
Right.
Like you said, you're 57 years old. You would be living your true, authentic self.
Exactly. And, you know, and then, you know, how many more times are we going to talk about how much work we've had done and how much work we should be having done and this, that, and the other? If we were having that, first of all, I came out of prison and I was on cameras, 2 days later doing the interview?
Yeah.
Folks, you can't have a facelift in that length of time. It's not possible to do in 48 hours.
No, you can just thank Pam Chaney. That's all you can thank at this point.
But I didn't even have her before that interview.
No, but
I mean, you know, I think that you just see all these things about that you know's a lie. And I'm like, what is the purpose? I mean, don't you want to talk about things that have substance?
Right, so I don't even know why we're even giving this breath.
Well,
honestly, why are we even doing that?
I mean, because you showed me a picture yesterday.
Oh, that picture.
That was so, like, I was like, what in the hell? Folks, we're literally getting ready to board the plane.
Yeah,
no, we're not. We are not.
Come on, let me show that picture.
If you do, I'll show one of you.
Okay, now.
Okay.
So
they're gonna take this AI created picture that they had.
Yeah.
And it was, first of all, I had no tan, but yet in this one I'm orange.
Yeah.
And then I've never had lip filler, so of course they give me lip filler.
Right.
And then then they give me a facelift that pulls me all the way back.
Right.
And it's like, he's not gay.
Right.
This is AI generated. A facelift wouldn't make you gay.
Right.
I mean, the lips I'd kind of wonder a little bit about. But I'm sorry.
God.
I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know a lot of guys that are getting the whole plumpers and stuff or making your lips bigger or whatever to get the DSLs or, yeah, that's what it's called.
Oh, my God.
So, I mean, I'm not doing that. Mine's going to be like this. Just for you.
Shut up. You are
Lips
horrible.
for the lips.
You are horrible.
But so anyway, so we've addressed just a few of those right now, but let's move on from that. Let's talk about this week.
Yep.
And the fact that we just got back last night from Florida.
Yes.
And what a lot of you may not know is that I was asked by the Bureau of Prisons to speak at the last graduating class for RDAP at the federal prison camp in Pensacola, Florida, where I was located.
So for people who don't know what RDAP is,
it's the residential drug program that the Bureau of Prisons has to assist people that have a drug addictions currently or past.
Right. And it's like an intensive program.
It's a very intensive
usually 9
program.
months. And for a lot of people, if they complete that program, they can actually get a year off their sentence.
That's correct.
So it's a big thing in prison.
But let's go back to what you just said. It's an intensive program.
Yes.
So in order for you to be taking an intensive program, let's just say like out here in the streets, you're having to go for intensive therapy. You are with someone that is a very qualified doctor of that arena.
Hopefully, yes.
And so I was in Pensacola at the camp there, and everyone that has followed Savannah's social media or heard me talk after I've gotten home knows my disdain for the staff in Pensacola. This program was ran by Mandy Ramsey and Dennis Proffitt, Miss Richardson, Delgado, Black, Hackett. You've heard me talk about nasty ass Hackett, piss stain Hackett. But I was asked to come back and speak at this last graduating class because of all the things that I've exposed regarding the abuse, the PTSD that these men now have because of the verbal abuse and threats and fear instilled in them by Dennis Proffitt, Mandy Ramsey, Richardson, Black. Delgado, I can't really say a whole lot bad about him other than I feel like, and I've always felt this way, that if you are in a circle and someone's being abused and you don't step in and stop the abuse, you are part of that abuse.
Right.
And I think that Mr. Delgado, who I believe is a nice person, I believe he's always been kind to me. I believe that he drank the Kool-Aid and that he did not report the abuse that was going on. So for 3.5 weeks, I have been working on this speech. I would start out with one. I think the first one that I started out with, you said what?
That's a little much.
And I'm like, but it's the truth. I want to tell the truth. And I want to expose all of the wrong things that were going on there, at the hands of Proffitt and Ramsey and the rest of them. And then I'd get mad at you because you were basically shitting on what I was writing.
Right.
But then I did, typical fashion for me and you get on to me about certain things. I go off.
Get mad about
it. But then I come full circle and say,
right, because I know
right.
that this is something that you're really passionate about.
Yes.
But it wasn't about you. It was about them.
And when
it was about all these men that went through this, because you didn't go through RDAP.
I didn't.
You didn't qualify for RDAP.
No, and let me explain that. And to keep in mind, we were convicted of tax fraud and bank fraud. Mm-hmm. Now keep in mind that it's now been proven that we owed no taxes and that we received a tax refund. Mm-hmm. But we went to prison for tax fraud that didn't exist and that we didn't owe taxes. As a matter of fact, they found that we overpaid taxes, which resulted in us now getting a refund. The first 2 days that I was there in Pensacola, I think it was the second day, I was on the call-out sheet to report to the RDAP program, to Dennis Proffitt, who says to me, Mr. Chrisley, I've been doing this a long time, and I have never seen a PSI as clean as yours.
Go ahead. PSI. You're assuming people know what that is.
I don't even know what it is.
Pre-sentencing report. It's actually a pre-sentencing interview or a PSR, which is a pre-sentencing report.
Okay.
It's something that when you are when you receive a federal sentence, before you ever report, someone either calls you. For us, they called, or you go in and you sit down with someone and they basically ask you questions from your childhood. I mean, as early as you can remember up through the present. Everything from about your parents, about your education and everything. So that's what this is about.
So he tells me that mine is the cleanest that he has seen in his history in the Bureau of Prisons. You've never drank, you've never smoked cigarettes, you've never tried marijuana, you've never done a drug, blah, 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 blah. No, sir. So, Mr. Chrisley, unfortunately, for RDAP, which would qualify you for a year off your sentence, you don't qualify in that aspect. But, Mr. Chrisley, the good news for you is that there are other ways to qualify you for RDAP. Now, folks, this is a residential drug program. So what are the other ways to qualify me? So I said, oh, really? What is that? And he said, well, he says, we could come up with a way to get you in and to get you qualified. It could be as much as, anger management or, something along those lines. I said, but I don't have an anger management issue.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I never heard that.
Because it doesn't exist. That's the point I'm making here.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
So I looked at him and I said, so let me understand this. I'm here for fraud. And you want me to perpetuate fraud while I'm here by admitting to something, a condition that I have that I don't? That's going to be a hard pass for me. And he goes, well, Mr. Chris, I'm going to leave it up to you. I'm trying to help you out here. And I said, no, I don't. I had a business partner tell me the same thing. I'm good. So I declined to go in there. You want to know why I trust Home Title Lock? Just look at everything we've been through. The last thing you need is for someone to scam you out of your equity, which is the most valuable asset that you have. If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. In today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity or even sell your property, and you won't even know it's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. When's the last time you checked on your home title? If your answer is never, you need to do something about it right now. That's why I've partnered with Home Titles so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Go to HometitleLock.com and use the promo code Chrisley and you'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title. Urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. So go to HometitleLock.com and use the promo code Chrisley. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code Chrisley. Now, ever since then, Prophet has not liked me, because he wanted to be able to say that he had Todd Chrisley in his RDAP program. Because this man is a narcissistic egomaniac who has traumatized so many grown men. And I want to make sure that that I'm very clear on this. These men that he has ran his mouth to, spoken down to, belittled, degraded, humiliated, on the streets would beat the brakes off of him. And he knows that. But he knows while they're there, they can't do that. So now he's going to run that mouth to these men. So when you say, yes, I'm passionate about it, it's because I sat in the chapel. That was my job. And I was in that chapel every day. I heard.
Well, not your job, because you've said you didn't really work.
Well, it was the job I was assigned to. She is literally like the grammar police today. She wants to make sure all the facts line up.
Right.
I had a job. You have to be assigned a job. But they gave me the job in the chapel because they felt I was a security risk to leave the compound because something could happen to me. And they did not want something happening to me on their watch. So they gave me the job in the chapel. My job was to watch television, which I watched, the Faulkner Focus. That was my thing. I watched Harris Faulkner. I watched everything Fox, which is probably shocking to some people. But And then I handed out movies. If somebody wanted to come watch a movie, I'd hook a movie up for them. So that was my job. But keep in mind, the chapel shared a building with psychology, which was Mandy Ramsey and Dennis Prophet. Those men would come in there and they would line them up in the hallway, yell at them, degrade them, call them, you're below a child molester. Do you think your family really wants you? Your own family doesn't want you. That's why we're stuck with you, and we don't want you. This is the way that they spoke to these men. I have seen grown men weeping as they walk down that hallway. And so, yes, am I angry about it? Yes, because I'm not going to be part of that problem. I'm not going to be part of that abuse.
Right.
So I reported them. I kept reporting them. But of course, we had a worthless warden, Sherry Salisbury, who was an abuser herself when it came to power, and who her personnel record will reflect this. She's a liar. Her personnel record will reflect that she's a liar. And nothing was ever done. So I need for people to understand the gravity of our life. May the 28th, we came home.
Right.
I have received multiple calls from multiple governors of multiple states. I've spoken with the President of the United States. I have had heads of companies contact me. And then I have the Bureau of Prisons contact me to ask me if I would be interested in going back to Pensacola to speak. Now, folks, that's a Joseph moment. If you just go in the Bible and you research Joseph, this was a Joseph moment that these things are happening. So for me to be able to go back to this hellhole that I was in, where I witnessed so many men abused, there was a part of me that was like, do I want to go back? Because I don't know that I've been away from it long enough to not lose my shit on these ignorant hillbillies that were down there running this place. But I prayed about it and I asked for God to grant me peace over the situation, to give me the strength that I needed, to give me the ability to practice proper decorum, and to write something that was going to be able to expose what went on there, while at the same time being as respectful as I could to the process. Because I did not want to strip these men of their ability to do this graduation and get the hell away from the abuse.
Right.
So I end up writing the speech, and it worked out, and you finally blessed it and said, yes, you're good with this. Let's do it. Folks, this woman right here gets up at 4:30 that morning. You couldn't even sleep the night before yourself. I couldn't sleep, tossing and turning. And we finally get up, we start getting dressed, we get on the plane, we fly down to Pensacola. And folks, I have to say this, we had a driver who was one of the best drivers since we've been doing this.
Yes.
He was so professional. I'm going off on one of the kids on the phone in the car, and he goes, Mr. Chrisley, I'll put my, earbuds in and turn them up. He said, just so you can have your privacy. And I said, I really don't care. Everything's been written about us that can be written about us. If I have to discipline one of my children, I have an argument with one of my kids, I'm going to do that. So, but he was so polite and so courteous and so professional. And we get there early. We have a great lunch. We get to the facility. And as we're pulling in, of course, there's press out there. I end up giving one interview. And as we're pulling in to this naval base, because, folks, this is where I was, a naval base, a decommissioned naval base that the Bureau of Prisons had taken over. And you had these two security guards there that work for the Navy who are bitter because the camp is closing and their jobs, I'm assuming they're being
displaced.
They're being displaced, or they will be reabsorbed within the Navy. He was an ass, saying to our driver, "You're not on the list. We know the Chrisleys are coming, but you're not on the list. So you can pull in and drop them off, but you have to bring the car back outside the gate."
That's okay.
Now,
I mean, that's probably the rules.
But here's the rules, though. You're going to say a driver can't come through the gate, but you allowed prostitutes to come in through the gate. Huh. You allowed a woman to come and sleep on the bus while I was there, and she's found drunk and asleep on the bus the next morning when the guys are getting on the bus to go to DZ. but you're going to keep a driver who's bringing people in out, but you're going to let people come in the other way.
I get it. I get it.
So, that pisses me off. But did I keep my cool?
Yes, you did.
Kept my cool. Because I was like, I'm not letting this low rent people drag me into the gates of hell.
You're doing it.
I'm not. I'm saying what I wasn't going to do.
Okay.
I did not say that they were ignorant and trash and whatever.
Okay.
I'll do that here. So I go in through the gate. We get out. And then we have two lovely people from the Bureau that are coming up there to escort us. Mm-hmm. And they were very nice. They were from the regional office of Georgia. And they were lovely people.
Did they say they were from Georgia?
They were from the regional offices. And the regional office for that area is in Atlanta.
Okay. See, I learned something.
She doesn't know anything about where I was. I was busy there for 28 months trying to take down the BOP. She was up there driving a forklift and selling commissary. Who did a more important job? So at any rate, they were lovely. They escorted us to the chapel. We go in, they're setting up the cameras. They're doing all the stuff that needs to be done for this speech that I'm going to give. And you see, I'm looking around, I see some of the COs there. Some of them I have said were lovely people. Mm-hmm.
These are correction officers.
COs. She's going to give you, this is
Well,
Webster.
you have to understand, a lot of the people are not like us. They're not a bunch of rogues that's been to prison. So they don't know the slang. CO? My mama, if our Nanny Faye was watching that, she wouldn't know what a CO was.
No, Mama said it was a piece of shit.
Well, probably. But
if you're going to call me that, it's Mr. Rogue to you.
Yeah.
So at any rate, they're setting up all the cameras and stuff. I see some of the correctional officers there, staff members, and they come over, they hug me, they shake my hand. And as I've said, there are some good people that were at Pensacola. It was few. I can count them on both hands. Out of 100-something staff members and correctional officers, I can count on both hands the ones that were not corrupt, that were not dirty, that did their jobs, and never treated anyone with disrespect. I can count them on both hands. And some of those were there. You witnessed that. Mm-hmm. And then you had some of the dirty ones coming in to witness what I was going to say.
Right.
Because now keep in mind, they were notified that I was coming. And they fought tooth and nail to keep me out of there.
Right.
You had Albert Cheatham, who is the case management coordinator. That was his job, his title, that he's paid for by the Bureau of Prisons. But he perpetuated a fraud by when Warden Salisbury came. She had never had power in her life. And so now she's a warden. She all of a sudden needs an assistant at a camp. Keep in mind, this camp does not have a position for an assistant, has never had an assistant. Cheatham changes his title on his emails to being he's the assistant to the warden. And he comes in, you got to witness him. Mm-hmm. Very bitter man. He's gone from one location to the next throughout the Bureau of Prisons. He's an abusive man. He has abused power from the whole time that I was there. He's a liar. He has perpetuated fraud throughout the Bureau of Prisons with the things that he has told. This is a man who, during CARES Act, he had to, as a case management coordinator, he was able, once the case managers made you eligible or deemed you eligible for the CARES Act, it then went to the case management coordinator, which was Cheatham. 2 case managers came forward and told me the reason a lot of these men are not leaving is because Cheatham is letting this stuff sit in his email. He's not signing off on them. He's waiting until the CARES Act expires. That way they don't get their CARES Act. So he's just an evil man, Albert Cheatham. And as God would do it, people that were there yesterday of position and of power he couldn't contain himself. He was able to expose his own self, and we'll get to that in a minute. But we get in there, we're meeting some of these people, and the AW, you want to say what that is?
Assistant Warden.
Assistant Warden, AW. She waddles over, and she's, Mr. Chrisley. Bitch, please. You are as worthless as a tit on a boar hog. She did nothing to help no man there. She could have signed off on transfers. She could have signed off on furloughs. She could have signed off on people going for proper medical care. And she did not. But she was there. She came up. Mr. Chrisley, how are you today? I'm fine. It's good to see you. This is my wife, Julie. She shook your hand. But at any rate, she waddles in with the AW, and we're starting to see some of the guys, walking through, and they're looking at me and smiling and doing this. Grown-ass men afraid to wave, afraid to speak, because they had been told by Prophet the week before we got there. He pulled them all out of class and told them, I just want to let you know, it is official. Chrisley will be speaking at the RDAP program, at your graduation. I don't know what value he brings to this, but I'm going to be humble and just go with the flow. And I just want you guys to know that I'm one way here on this job, but if I had met you in the streets, a lot of you guys, we could have gone fishing together. Bullshit. You are a misogynist, you're a narcissist, you are an abuser. He's now trying to mind screw these men by making them think that he's being forced by the BOP to be an abuser. Folks, the BOP does not put down as a qualification to work for them that you must abuse. That's not a qualification within the BOP. Prophet comes in, walks right by me, never speaks. Richardson, and I always called her Raggedy Richardson. Worst wigs. I don't even know where these wigs come from. I mean, baby dolls have better wigs than this. So I just kept right on minding my business. Did I say anything rude to anyone?
No, you didn't.
Okay. So it's now time for this RDAP graduation to start. The men start coming in. They're all looking to see if I'm there because they all knew that I was coming because he had alerted them to the fact that I was coming. And the press had been tipped off that I was coming. So at any rate, they come in and they're looking at me and smiling and waving and winking, and the RDAP program begins. Now keep in mind, there were members of the DC office of the Bureau of Prisons there, Christy Bashirs, Rick Stover, there was the chief of staff there for the director, and then three other individuals that were there. And so you should be on your best behavior as a staff member or a correctional officer, CO. You should be on your best behavior because these are the people that are at the top of the food chain. So we're sitting with them on the front row here. They start this program. Now keep in mind, Dennis Prophet has controlled with an iron fist for the 28 months that I was there with these men. But today, he's literally limited his entire role because the cameras are there, they're recording. This is a man who shunned faith, who literally dehumanized a man who tried to cling to his faith and said, I trust in God, he said, I trust in God, not the program. And then he was threatened to be sent to the shoe. Prophet and Ramsey have said that God is a mythical figure. Mythical figure. But what is the first thing that he gets up on that platform when it's time for him to speak and says yesterday?
He was actually quoting scripture.
Quoting scripture. But folks, the scripture that he wanted to quote was about a wolf in sheep's clothing. I think I'm the wolf. But the irony of that is that if you're going to quote scripture and say that I am the wolf in sheep's clothing, let's talk about the scripture where it says, be leery of false prophets. And his name is Prophet. I can't think of a scripture more appropriate than that. But he gets up and he gives this bullshit speech, and while chastising someone in the audience that's graduating because their lanyard is turned backwards.
Yeah.
Now, a lanyard, do you want to tell that or do I need to tell
No,
it?
that's not a prison term.
A lanyard is, this plastic thing that they made everyone wear there that was in RDAP that had their picture and what their status was in RDAP and whatever. And if they caught it turned around, now folks, it's like going to a concert. If you have this lanyard on, when it can be turned one way, but when you're moving, it can turn the other way. These men would be written up if it was turned the opposite direction. So he, in this graduation, he literally says to a staff, calls out this man because his lanyard is turned around because he's such a control freak. And I remember, and I'm going to top it right there with that for a second. I remember a staff member telling me a story about Prophet getting his literally getting the shit beat out of him. Prophet was having him paint his condo or whatever, and he went in because the guys had microwaves plugged up in his condo. You and I know we've been in construction forever, but he walked in and was complaining because it was smelling up his condo or something, or whatever this property was. And I'm quoting what I was told by a staff member about this. And said he came back, that guy beat the dog shit out of him. And when he came back to work, he looked like that damn dog in Little Rascals. And I remember her saying, I would have never come back to work looking like that. But he did, because he wants to let everybody know that he's a black belt in this and a black belt in that. What you did was get a belt put to your ass that day. That's what you got. But at any rate, he gets up and says his little thing. And then Rick Stover gets up, and who is the head of FSA, First Step Act, signed in 2018 by President Donald Trump, which is utilized to help men and women reduce their sentence by upwards of 48 to 52%. As long as you're programming and you're doing the right thing and you're not getting in trouble and what have you. And Rick gets up, he talks about his new position within the Bureau of Prisons. And folks, I will be the first to say right now, because I'm not a huge fan of the Bureau of Prisons, but I'm watching the change. You are seeing the change.
Absolutely.
And Rick is doing his job. He is administering the First Step Act now. He is making sure that things are being corrected. He has created his own task force to look into everyone's dates and trying to get them cleaned up. I'm seeing people go home that should, granted, a lot of them should have already gone home, and I want to be very clear with that. You have what's called a halfway house date and a home confinement date that you should be going out of there on. A lot of people missed their halfway house date and now has to be pushed straight into home confinement when they could have already been out of these prisons in halfway house, seeing their families all the time, talking on the phone to them, communicating, eating normal food, getting back into society. Those people have been cheated because they didn't get to go to their halfway house. But he's just now taking this over. These are new people in these roles. So he's making sure that he's cleaning this up now. He's clearing out these halfway houses, pushing those people out of halfway house and into home confinement so that people that are in prison that are waiting to go to halfway house can come. It's like a cycle. We're going to push them through. He gave a great speech, a beautiful letter that Alice Johnson had written about you and I, that we are so grateful, Alice, for that letter because it meant so much to us to hear someone else read your thoughts about us. And I loved how she addressed that you and I would have never been in this position had it not been for the Department of Justice and the criminalization of the Department of Justice due to political motivation. And then it was turned over to me. So I'm announced to come on stage. All of my friends and my fellow brothers at war with me there, they were clapping, they were chanting. And I get up there and I get emotional. After I just said in the start of this, I'm not going to show my emotions.
You did.
And right in front of all of my brothers here, I had to stop because I knew if I started speaking, I was going to cry. So I had to give it a minute. I had to breathe and just let it sit there for a second. And so I started reading my speech. And by the way, You will see in the coming episodes, there will be a copy of my speech that's released. It will be the audio version of that speech that you will get to hear. And that will tie into what I'm getting ready to tell you, that I start this speech and I'm about a quarter through?
Maybe not even that.
Okay, so maybe not even a quarter through. And Piss Pitts Hackett, DTS, who was now promoted. This is a man who did nothing, but he was promoted to reentry when Miss Gamble retired. Go and look at the records and see what this man has done during his time of being a reentry coordinator, so you can see that he did nothing for these men to get them any help. Nothing. He's in the back, in the nosebleed section, which is where he should have been. He's sitting in the back. Or, maybe they put him in the back because if he'd have been in the front, everybody behind him, it would have waved through there. Piss Pitts would have been everywhere. He's in the back. He goes, "Are you kidding me right now? This is a CO. This is a former DTS who's now running re-entry, who could not, because of what I was saying in this speech, calling all of them out, he could not contain himself." And that is something, folks, that's taught in RDAP, to control your emotions.
Yes.
To never strike out. Don't raise your voice. Mm-hmm. This is someone who's teaching this and denying people their right to credits, placing them in refusal status, stealing their time from them.
But he wasn't RDAP. He wasn't teaching RDAP, was he?
Yes, he was a DTS,
okay.
A drug treatment specialist.
Gotcha, okay.
See, I'm having to teach this one what the letters stand for.
Right, so see, if I didn't know it, they probably
So he
didn't
was
either.
a drug treatment specialist with teaching these guys in RDAP.
Okay.
Teaching these guys in the drug program there.
Okay.
Control your emotions. Be calm. Don't let people provoke you. Don't make them make you step out of who you really are. You just said that I'm maybe a quarter of the way through, if that. Mm-hmm. And folks, I made him step out, not from who he really is, but to expose who he really is. And then the shocker of it was, I'm reading, he does this, and I go, "I got something for you later." And all of a sudden, we hear a voice in the room, "No, you don't." And then a chair gets knocked over or shoved down because of an ass this broad.
It was crazy. That was really crazy.
And
we couldn't see anything because we were all facing.
I could. Right, I'm looking right at it. And then I've always loved Sarah Kennedy. Always loved her. She was very helpful for me when I was there. She did a lot for me. She gave me a lot of information on the corruption and the abuse that was going on there. And I never was going to say that until today. But that's why I posted what I posted on my Instagram yesterday and said, today's not the day for me to let you get by. Today's the day for you to fuck around and find out. That's why I posted that. Because Sarah Kennedy wanted yesterday to be a day about her and not about these men. Because she wanted to jump up in front of everybody in there to act like she was, dissing me or, taking up for another staff member. When in fact, Sarah, you have given me information on Hackett. You have talked about how pissy his pits smell. You have told me how abusive the RDAP program was. You have told multiple guys that's coming in there, write profit up, do a BP8, do this, do that. And then all of a sudden, you're going to come in there and show your ass like that. I'm not okay with that. Be one way with me. And I'm that way. Don't be like we're doing right now, and then we walk out of here and you're a different person.
Right.
I'm not giving you 2 entries into my life because you got multiple personalities. You got one time to come in my life.
And folks, with that, we're going to have to save this for another podcast because this is a lot. So to be continued.